period of significant economic transformation. Under his leadership, Jamaica has achieved historically low unemployment, substantially reduced public debt, strengthened international reserves, and enhanced investor confidence. These gains have been achieved through disciplined fiscal management and a commitment to sustainable, people-centered growth, while advancing reforms to modernize government services and expand digital access through initiatives such as the National Digital Identification Program. Prime Minister Holness has also led major advances in national security and resilience. Jamaica has in fact recorded the lowest murder rate in more than 3 decades, reflecting a comprehensive approach to crime reduction and public safety. His administration and his time of service has not been easy, because he has had to guide this country through major challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, global disruptions, and the Category 5+ Hurricane Melissa. Today, he is spearheading a national reconstruction and resilience agenda aimed at building a more sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous Jamaica, where strong institutions like the ones represented here tonight have expanded opportunities to improve the lives of all citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we welcome Dr.
Thank you, Madam Master of Ceremonies, for your wonderful mastery of the ceremony. And let me thank you for that very kind introduction. It's always good to hear of the good things you do. Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, Mr. and Mrs. Hilton, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Andrew Swaby, and he said that I should say, my dear friend. Emile and Janelle, a lovely couple. And Emile, I do admire the work that you do, and congratulations on your presidency of the Chamber of Commerce. Executive heads of various public and private bodies that are here, and just to sum it up all nice and decent people. Thank you for inviting me to join you at the 41st Annual Awards Banquet of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber has been part of Jamaica's commercial life since 1779. I didn't know this until I was preparing for this presentation. And that means that the Chamber has seen Jamaica through the colonial period, through independence, through periods of growth, periods of crisis, reconstruction, reform, and renewal. And the institution, the organization still stands. That is not luck. That is institutional discipline. The same quality we're here to recognize tonight in the businesses that are part of your organization. As an aside, I was with a very prominent business leader, Caribbean business leader, and he was pointing out that the relationship between businesses and government across the Caribbean, it is not always one of partnership or cooperation. Sometimes it can be very combative. I am happy to say, and no one should contradict me, that the relationship between business and government in Jamaica is good. It is one of great cooperation. I certainly have taken the stance that business is not the enemy, that we should not make business people feel as if they are exploiters, that we must support our business people, we must promote entrepreneurism, we must celebrate people who make profit, and we must celebrate people who make profit and give back even more. We must see businesses as integral to the growth of our country. The greatest mistake is to believe that government can grow the economy. Government can't grow the economy. The economy is grown by businesses. I know that Jamaica has suffered from a long conceptual framework that somehow businesses have led to an unequal distribution of income and wealth in the country. If we are to cross the threshold to become a developed country, to become a growing country, we must dispense with that view. The core of the Jamaican culture is competition. That is the core of any business economy. We have that natural core in our people. And what we must do is to prepare the track very well, get out of the way, set the rules, and train the runners. As we do for athletics, let us do it for business. So that was not in my script. I'm just sharing with you some thoughts. So the last few months has not been an easy road. Real GDP fell by 7.1% in the December quarter, the sharpest contraction in years. And this has been driven, obviously, by Hurricane Melissa. And costs are going up, again, driven by increased energy costs. And energy costs have gone up by some 60% since the Middle East conflict began. Grain prices are up, shipping costs are elevated, and these are conditions that businesses would have had to navigate from last year to now. Bear in mind that after the COVID pandemic, we faced a round of sustained increases due to supply chain disruptions. So it has not been an easy time for business. The fact that you are still here, and by the way, this is the largest turnout in this room I've seen in a long time. You're looking good. And the fact that we're still here, still investing, still employing, still improving, is a testament to your own resilience and commitment to Jamaica. And I want to commend you. Despite all the challenges, there is also good news. There is a lot to be proud of. Unemployment remains at record low. Inflation is back within the BOJ's target band. Our international reserves stand at US $6.5 billion, a record high. And let me just quickly add, don't come out with this. I'm at a lovely dinner here, so let me reserve my language. With any suggestion that we must spend the reserves. The reserves are there for our protection. If you spend off the reserve, you have no protection. You become open to speculators and all kinds of attacks on your currency. And then you become weak. And to my other great achievement, to which we should all be proud, the exchange rate has been stable. Sometimes we forget that there was a time when our exchange rate was unstable. And it has been stable now, going through all kinds of crises. Why? Because we have $6.5 billion reserve. And I gather that the exchange rate has appreciated slightly. Not necessarily a good thing, but to make the point. All three major credit rating firms have reaffirmed our credit rating after Hurricane Melissa. Moody's even upgraded us. Within weeks of the hurricane, the government mobilized $6 billion in reconstruction financing, the largest development financing package in Jamaica's history. Now, that didn't happen because of sympathy. It happened because the world watched us navigate 6 years of compounding crises and concluded that our institutions were credible and our commitments would be kept. So we not only have a reserve of funds in the BOJ, we have a reserve of credibility in the Ministry of Finance. Let me repeat that. Jamaica has a reserve of credibility. And that credibility had immediate, tangible consequences. Within weeks after Melissa, the government was able to write a check for $150 million to the Jamaica Public Service Company to restore electricity to the country. That we were never in such a position before to be able to do that. And there might be those wondering, was that a good thing? You? I mean, especially after but we were able to write the check to restore electricity. So for a family sitting in darkness, for a farmer watching a season slip by, for a small business that could not open its doors, 3 weeks instead of 6 months, that is not a simple gesture. It is profound for the restoration of lives and livelihood. And we were able to do this because the country had credibility. Agricultural output has rebounded faster than projected. The Bank of Jamaica's initial outlook for economic recovery from Melissa was 3 to 4 years. It has revised that now to 2 to 3 years. We have also made historic improvements, as was said earlier, in public safety. After a 42% reduction in 2025, murders are now down a further 22.5% year to date. And this is not a flash in the pan. This is a sustained downward trajectory. In fact, murders are down 67% over the last 4 years. This is a game changer for Jamaican communities and Jamaican enterprise. So even after a sustained series of exogenous shocks over the last 6 months or 6 years, the macroeconomic foundation of Jamaica remains intact. The security environment is improving at pace. And, you know, the truth is that few would have predicted 10 years ago that we would be able to stand here today and say that murders are below 700. Now, if you were to just think about it, you know, 10 years ago, would you say that 10 years you are facing closure, bankruptcy? As a manager and entrepreneur, you have to pivot. You have to look, how do you repurpose? What's the next big thing that I could invest in? How do I repurpose and reposition capital? The same challenge you face as businesses coming out of a disaster, it's the same challenge that the government faces. So this is where the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority becomes central. After a major shock, the temptation is to patch what was broken and move on. That's the thinking of many Jamaicans. So just fix what is broken and move on. Jamaica has done too much of this over many years. A road washes away, we repair the road. A bridge fails, we replace the bridge. The water system breaks, we just simply restore service. And that seems logical. That's what we should do. That's what the average person in the public would be clamoring for. Fix my road, fix my bridge, return my water. But then another event comes, and the same road washes away. In other words, the same weak point fails. So the difference between, you know, rebuilding for reconstruction and rebuilding for transformation is that we are not looking to rebuild weak points. And if we're going to rebuild, we must question, should we rebuild this in the same way, in the same place? Or should we reimagine this? Should we take the opportunity to do it differently? To take away the exposure to failure? Every business in this room has paid for that cycle in lost inventory, missed delivery deadlines, suppliers that couldn't perform, customers that couldn't be reached. Infrastructure weakness is not a government problem, it is a cost to business that falls on you. So the need to not just build for recovery, but build for resurgence, build for stronger, better. It is a public good, but it is critically important for business. So NARA is meant to break that cycle for good. Its mandate is not restoration. I want to just say that clearly. The mandate of NARA is not restoration. It is reconstruction that strengthens, roads rebuilt to move goods with super reliability, water systems that support agriculture, tourism, and industry, energy infrastructure that reduces exposure to the next shock, and procurement that moves faster but still protects the public's purse. So NARA is about doing things differently, but better and stronger. As you played the clip of your efforts to clean downtown Kingston, my mind reflected on my graduation from St. Catherine High School. I met a few alumni here, and I went to the ball downtown Kingston. At that time, there was a hotel down there, not the Rock, the one before the Rock, the Sheraton. Oceana, Oceana. This is such a long time ago. And it was a lovely ball. In fact, could you imagine this? We slept on the grass, yeah, and then took the bus and went home in the morning. That's how safe it was. But it hasn't changed in over 40 years. In fact, it looks worse. I think it behooves all of us here to recognize that there has been considerable disinvestment in the infrastructure of our capital city, indeed the infrastructure generally of the island. And so while I applaud the attempt, it is merely a patch. There's so much more to do for downtown Kingston. The infrastructure there is in need of significant intervention, from the sewage to the roads to the sick buildings. It needs a massive plan. We are standing in our way. The level of economic and social mobilization that is required, it is not now only a matter of how it will be financed. The question is, do we have the administrative and organizational capability to do it with speed? Can our bureaucracy that we have built, can it manage transformation? That is now the new struggle. Can we get things done quickly, at pace and at scale? And that is why we needed to have created NARA, because the current bureaucracy simply could not take on the transformation that will be required in the recovery from Hurricane Melissa. The current bureaucracy has never spent $6 billion in any capital program. Think about it. And that is why we had to create literally a new framework to manage it. So, speed matters, so does discipline. Jamaica has no shortage of plans. What we need now is execution at a higher standard and a faster pace. The private sector is not a spectator in this. We need contractors who can deliver quality work on time. We need engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, project managers, manufacturers, financiers, insurers. Where are the insurers in the room here? Pay up. We need companies that will compete fairly, price honestly, hire locally where possible, and meet the highest standards. We also need the private sector to help to build the supply chains that can respond to crisis. You know, I commend the private sector for coming together immediately in the aftermath of the hurricane. You mentioned that group that met to work out your distribution and the logistics and to cooperate with government. Indeed, I had a delegation of some private sector people who came to me to say, how can we help? Because the government's response, I think they felt it looked a little bit shaky, like it wasn't delivering at the speed and at the level that they had expected. And so I do admire the Jamaican private sector. They're always willing to come and give support, and they're very organized. And I commend the Jamaican private sector because you got your distribution networks up and running very quickly. And in fact, that is what triggered a very quick restoration. But, you know, your government has been very strategic. We focus on the things that government should focus on, like getting roads cleared and open so that the distribution trucks can get goods out. We have to strike a very careful balance. We recognize that many Jamaicans overseas would want to send things for their family here. And as much as we could, we facilitated, but we also knew that as things were coming in, the ports were being clogged and commerce was being killed. So we had to strike that balance to ensure that after the philanthropic interests dried up, our distribution businesses were still alive to be able to continue business. So during the management of the hurricane disaster, we had to take some very strategic decisions that balanced interests. Interests of persons who would want to see more philanthropic support, but also ensure that we balance to ensure our businesses could survive, stand up their operations, and be able to continue after the philanthropic efforts have subsided. And I think we created that balance because I don't think anyone could say that in any way the philanthropic aid that came in impacted the markets generally in terms of goods and prices and so forth. We kept a close watch just to make sure that what we're doing was not inadvertently destroying commerce in Jamaica. So I said that because we don't write books on events anymore. We make posts. You know, 300 words don't capture the fundamentals and profundity of challenges. So at every little occasion, I drop in a snippet of some of the things that government has to do that people don't consider. So that was one of them, to make sure that businesses were able to function and not be destroyed, in a sense, by activities that could flood markets and destroy supply chains. So, reconstruction spending, it is not just repair, it is the single largest economic intervention that Jamaica will make in a generation. I want to say that again. The reconstruction spending that will come in NARA, it won't be just any ordinary capital expenditure. It will be the single largest economic intervention that will be made in a generation, possibly in the 200 and odd years of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. It will be the largest intervention. The possibility is that we could increase our GDP by more than 20% as a result. Every dollar spent on rebuilding this country is an opportunity to do more than restore what existed before. We're not rebuilding the old Jamaica. We're building the foundation of a new Jamaica, more competitive, more resilient, less exposed to the next shock. That means roads built not just to carry today's traffic, but to open new corridors for commerce, logistics, and housing. Water systems designed not just for current demand, but to meet agricultural expansion and expansion in tourism. Energy infrastructure that reduces our dependence on imported fuels and locks in lower costs for households and businesses for decades to come. And this is a big challenge, the challenge of energy. JPS is here. We are going through negotiations now. The intention is to lock in with a license certain changes that will see tangible reductions in electricity and energy costs for households and businesses. Jamaica's energy costs are prohibitive, and we have to tackle it. We must make substantial improvements in it, but we cannot place all our hopes for reduction on a renegotiated license. We must now explore in meaningful ways the large-scale deployment of alternative energy sources, and we must prepare ourselves to be able to deploy nuclear technology, because nuclear technology is becoming the de facto clean energy resource. So we have to put ourselves in that position. And it's not going to be long. It's going to be a decade or so. But to be able to deploy that, you have to prepare from now. So we are looking at the energy sector in real ways to make real changes. But we also need stronger firms. We need stronger contracting firms. Firms that are investing in themselves. Firms that are hiring the engineers and the architects and the project managers to be able to deliver the large projects that will come under NARA. But since I have this room, NARA is not only about government expenditure. There may be in this room companies that have projects that they want to have executed. NARA is that platform. We have stated that if you have a project, 15 million US or above, and it fits within the reconstruction and resilience, it is in alignment with any of the other projects that the government is doing, come to us. Utilize the NARA platform for approvals and processing and potential also for financing. And let us crowd in the private investment with the public investment. In other words, the $6 billion that the government is hoping to deploy could easily be multiplied by several factors over if the private sector is fully mobilized for this effort. So I'm using this opportunity to plant the seed in your minds, to start to think about all those projects that you have developed, but you have put in File 13. Now may be the time to pull them, dust them off, revisit them, and see whether or not they can be crowded into the NARA investment train line. So that brings me to my closing of the presentation. You've been such a lovely audience. as I rambled on. Productivity. So we have dealt with violence, fiscal discipline, resilience building, and now we're building resurgence. But the elephant is in the room, which we don't speak of, is that of Jamaica's productivity. We are the third lowest in terms of regional productivity. Many issues wrapped up in that, but I would just like to say that productivity is the heart of growth. It is how we turn effort into value. It is how wages rise without pushing prices out of control. I want to repeat that. Because as we are in this era, this period of wage negotiations, there is the view that you can increase wages inordinately and it is of no impact on prices. If wages don't match productivity and you increase wages, it's inflationary. It means you're going to come back again next year, ask for more wage increases because prices have increased, and you come back again the following year and you're caught in this vicious cycle, which we have been caught in for the last 40 years. So I just thought I would say it here. Maybe we'll have more people saying it so that the outlook and view of the society can change, that people can start to focus on really what do they produce, what do we produce as a people to claim increased wages. It's a discussion we need to have. There's no value in money if it is not backed by production. And if you give people more money and there is no production to back it, then you're just paying more for the same production. It is an idea that needs to seep into the minds of the average Jamaican. So, it is how businesses grow without passing on higher costs to consumers. Again, another area that needs some discussion. It is how government collects more revenues without raising taxes. It is how Jamaica will compete with its peers. Productivity. Improving productivity must become a national habit. For government, that means faster approvals, better project management, cleaner procurement, stronger digital services, and infrastructure that reduces the cost of doing business. And that's what the government is committed to doing. For businesses, it means investing in equipment, technology, training, management systems, export readiness, energy efficiency, and quality control. And I know every business here represented is doing just that, trying to improve your productivity in order to compete. And for our workers, it means skills, improving skills. And since I have the business community here, every day a business person said to me, "Listen, Prime Minister, I cannot find people to work." But when I go out into the field, I see a lot of people not working. It is a challenge for businesses, and it is indeed, at this point, a constraint on growth. The question is, how do we attract the people who have decided to withhold their labor? How do we attract them into the labor market? It is a national conversation that must be had. But as our country grows and our economy grows, and we approach full employment, which we are almost at full employment, we are going to have a new labor policy and a new policy on work because the current situation is indeed constraining on your output and your efficiency. But it also means that the Chamber of Commerce needs to join the conversation, needs to become stronger advocates. You can't just leave it up to myself and Tony. Because I am going to say one thing, and anything I say, Tony is going to say the opposite. So we need to hear the voice of the business community to not just advocate for your position, but to have a conversation with your employees and your customers, to speak generally so that the entire Jamaica can understand where we are today. It is totally different from the 70s. Where we are today, Jamaica could become Dubai or Singapore, where if our economy grows, we might have to bring people in to keep the economy turning over. Yes, and can you imagine that Jamaica has reached that stage? It is how Cayman has grown, Antigua is growing, all of these other countries that have taken our labor to build their industries. We mustn't see ourselves as closed, insulated, xenophobic, isolated. We have to see ourselves as a country where people want to come and live, and we must embrace them. Get the crime down, get the efficiency up, clean up the streets, start the reinvestment. You won't have a hand to sell Jamaica. Look, the model of development and growth for many years has been how many visitors can we have in tourism? That model needs to shift. It has to be how many people can we get to come and live in Jamaica. So it's not just the one-off 5-day tourism dollar that gets circulated out of the country. We want people to come here and live and spend and hire and create and do business. By the way, that's Vision 2030. That is Vision 2030. Jamaica, the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise family, and then I said, retire in paradise. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate firms and individuals who held their standards high when it was the hardest to do so. Several sectors that suffered the sharpest contractions after Melissa are represented in the room. The businesses being recognized tonight kept going. They kept investing when certainty was low and costs were high. And that is not a small thing. You are anchor firms, companies that don't disappear when conditions deteriorate. You are the foundation on which our economy and country depends. And I want to thank you and encourage you. Don't be pausing in your clap. That's it. Government will continue to protect economic stability. We will continue to invest in infrastructure. We will continue to confront crime. We will continue to support our reconstruction through NARA, and we will continue to work with you. But we need you to keep investing, keep training, keep exporting, keep improving, and of course, keep holding the government to account. And remember, you have to also hold yourselves to account. So let us build roads that carry commerce. Let us build firms that can compete beyond our shores. Let us build workers who are ready for the economy and that is workers that are productive and creative. Let us build a country that can take a shock, quickly recover, and accelerate its growth. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce is our partner. We respect you and we support you. Thank you for your leadership across 247 years of Jamaican commercial life. To the nominees and awardees, congratulations again. May God bless you. May God bless Jamaica.
Thank you to Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, leading the charge for building the foundation of a new Jamaica. We have the reserve of credibility. We have built resilience in our economy. And Prime Minister, if you could join us on stage for a special presentation, which will be handled by our first Vice President, Mrs. Martha Miller. A lovely token created by All Wrapped Up, one of our members. It's very heavy. As the Prime Minister collects his token, we are all recognized as all nice and decent people here at the Jamaica Pegasus. Let's give another round of applause to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, accepting a token from All Wrapped Up. We're giving the Prime Minister more work tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we acknowledge tonight's generous sponsors. And as I announce our sponsors, because we want them back again next year, we want bigger contributions next year. I'm going to ask you to please give them some loud cheers, show them the appreciation. Our title sponsors, Flow, Liberty Business. Our other title sponsor, the Jamaica Public Service Company Limited. Our platinum sponsors, Red Stripe. Our gold sponsors, Carreras Limited, CG United Insurance, Deloitte, J. Ray and Nephew Limited, Main Event Group, Scotiabank. All right, I'm going to pause and get the clapping back, getting the clapping muscles again. So we're at our silver sponsors, Chas E. Ramson Limited, Jaguar Land Rover, and Sherwin-Williams. Our bronze sponsors, Action Coach Jamaica, Bioregeneration Integrated Medical Supply, Delta Supply Limited, Digicel Jamaica, Garrick Communications, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Lithographic Printers, Madison Chai, Money Musk Rums, Physical Therapy Solutions, and we're going to need them for those clapping muscles, Prodigy Systems Limited, Prescient Consulting Services Limited, Texaco Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue the applause for our amazing sponsors. So we are getting into our awards, so we're going to flow through with our awards. And you ever see Jamaican parents at a sports day? I know Interprep Sports is going on. And you know when you see a little child out there and you say, watch Boo-Boo, run Boo-Boo. When you hear the nominees, that's how I want you to cheer them on like how you cheer on Boo-Boo. So, our first set of awards, Resilience in Action. So, our Resilience in Action honors, these are some special recognition that we're paying tribute to individuals and organizations whose leadership, service, and commitment were instrumental in supporting Jamaica's recovery following Hurricane Melissa. This evening, the Chamber is proud to present the Resilience in Action Award to 7 deserving recipients. I'm going to ask Diane Ashton Smith, Head of Corporate Affairs from Red Stripe, to join me on stage for the presentation to the first 2 Resilience in Action honorees. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together for a lady who goes by the name Mrs. Lisa Bell. She is being recognized for her leadership in safeguarding access to financial services and remittance channels, ensuring continuity for businesses and citizens with the challenges that arose with the hurricane. Mrs. Lee, President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, who will present our next award to, I see him here as Mr. Jamie Ogilvy, but I know he also goes by Colonel Jamie Ogilvy, recognized for his steadfast leadership in supporting the resilience and continuity of Jamaica's agricultural sector amid challenging conditions. These awards goes to a company who is always on our mind, the Jamaica Public Service Company Limited. We could not have restored normalcy as quickly without the honoring. There are 3 awards. So I see Flo over there wondering, what about us? Ladies and gentlemen, Flo Jamaica Limited. We could not have maintained critical communication and connectivity without Flow Jamaica, whose steadfast support and infrastructure resilience played a vital role in keeping Jamaica connected through periods of destruction. I'm asking the nominees, make sure you have those teams ready. Everybody ready. Decide who is coming up to take that photo, because the Best of Chamber celebrates excellence in performance, innovation, and best practices across the business community. This year, we have 24 outstanding nominees across 5 categories: micro, small, medium, large, and extra large. And these honors awards JCC member companies that have demonstrated the highest standards in corporate leadership. Let me now invite Donna Stewart, Assistant Vice President, Corporate Affairs, Main Event Entertainment Group. She will present the Best of Chamber Micro category.